Right.
Welcome once again to Dream Career Talk Show. As you all know, on Dream Career Talk Show, we bring industry experts so that they can share their knowledge on various topics that can help professionals to get clarity, hope, inspiration, and the right direction to build their dream careers. So, today as well, we have an expert talking on a very interesting topic. We all know that 2023 is starting, and experts have predicted that in 2023, Web 3.0 blockchain technology sector will be worth more than $6 trillion. Web 3 covers a number of trends that make up what is sometimes called the decentralized internet. Before Web 3, users and builders had to choose between the limited functionalities of Web 1 or the centralized model of Web 2. Web 3 is transforming the internet and rolling worldwide by establishing certain beliefs about decentralized technological architecture. So, our today's guest, Alekh Johari, is the founder of Anemoi Solution, a Web3 design and development services organization. Anemoi Solution helps companies transition to Web3, starting with education and building apps on blockchain technology, including metaverses and NFT marketplaces, apps in AR, VR, among other things. Alek is also a partner of a design and animation studio where they create cool videos for product promotion, explainer videos, etc. He hosts his own podcast, which is known as The Future of Web, where he talks about Web3 to enable its understanding and wider adoption. He has traveled to around 25 countries and worked with the best in business. He started working in VR AR in 2007 in the broadcast industry. He has also made some short films and won awards at fest of prestigious institutes like IIT Bombay. He loves doing sessions on Web3 and growth mindset for organizations and colleges. Alek, I have known you for some time now. It's been 3 years, right? And you have some amazing accomplishments in your career. And now you're doing some amazing job out there by hosting your podcast and bringing some great influences on your podcast, The Future of Web. So I'm glad to have you here. Welcome to Dream Career Talk Show.
Thank you so much, Fada, for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to be here. And you're doing some amazing stuff yourself, and so kind of you to, bring me here and, share what I'm doing and, my knowledge about it. So thank you so much once again. And, so everybody who's joined in, Happy New Year in advance. Have a great year.
Thank you. And yeah, I've been watching your episodes. I think this is definitely the future of technology, and it's going in a very good direction. And we can see experts also predicting some amazing future out there.
Yeah.
So before we talk about the Web3 technology in a bit detail, let's start with how did you get into this, right? Because I know you have been into career in various things. So can we talk about your career? How did you get
Oh, sure,
started?
sure,
How
sure.
did you land up here?
So how did I land up? It's a very interesting. So my first point of contact with blockchain was a cousin of mine back in 2009 or 2010. So Bitcoin had recently launched then, and he was in London then. He was doing his graduation and studying there. So he was my first point of contact when he said, like obviously he's younger one, so he's like, bhaiya, do you want to, there's something cool about Bitcoin and there's new thing, and there's a lot of it's a new technology coming up. Do you want to invest in it? So me being the regular guy, like no, no, no. Is it regular? It is regulated. It is legal. So I did not invest. So it was about $100 he was asking me then. So now I sometimes, it's just a joke that I share with people who know I'm in blockchain, that I could have made millions. It's if I had invested the amount of money that he was asking me. So that was a little very small idea about what that is. So then it went on the side, and I continued with my career. He went with his way. So then I somewhere in 2018 or 19 is when Gary Vee, like I'm a big fan of Gary Vee, and I read his books, and I have his books and stuff like that. So he started talking about NFTs, and when he started talking about NFTs, that is when I actually started taking it a little seriously. Like started dwelling a little bit, into it. So there was a time. No, I think it was 2020. No, maybe not 1920. It's 2020. So So that's when there was a buzz around what NFTs are, and when I still did not understand very well, to be honest, when then, because I did not, but it stayed. So that's when I started, understanding more on the tech side of it. What is blockchain? How does it work? How did it came into being? And that's how you got to know about Ethereum and stuff like that. So all that kind of created curiosity. So in that, while I had, like while all this education was going on, like self education, I had switched companies from one to the other, and joined another company at a senior level. So that's when I thought, like that's where we started a little more talking about. And then I started connecting with a lot of people on LinkedIn who were doing something or the other. So coincidentally, around the same time, there was a cohort going on from Growth School, right? So they were starting something of a Web3. So I had used one of their, I think courses or some segments earlier. So they sent me a email, like what do you want to do? So this is what we are starting, and this is what you should work on and whatever. So I and I went through the course material, and there was some, like, and they had not made it very easy. So they said, like you got to do this things to be as a participant, and if you get selected out of the first, I don't know, 500 or 1,000 people who will apply. So there are tons of people applying left, right, and center. You'll get it, like as a initiator, as a first batch, some of you will get it for free. So anyhow, so I did all of that because it has piqued my interest. Why? Because I have been a creative person for a long time. Like, like you said, that I've been working in AR VR since 2007. So I understood, all of things. So when metaverse came into the picture, it was very easy for me to understand what that is. Like it's just about at least the design and the tech side of it. What metaverse is an experience, we'll talk a little further, but at least the design, like how you can transform the virtual worlds into metaverse and stuff like that. It's easy, how to create them, how do you optimize them for live streaming stuff. So anyhow, so that's when I started reading, deep dive fully into it, like fully immersed myself into it. So that's what my company also built around the same technology, right? So we create metaverses, NFT marketplaces, apps on blockchain and stuff. So that's how I came. Sorry, it took a little longer, but there was a lot to talk.
No, but that is interesting.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. And before, when we talk about Web3, right, we know web, right? And then that's like quite a few years back we had web. So now we are talking about Web3. So what
Yeah.
is Web3 basically? Like, is it just the extension of web, right? And how is it different than that? What is the new thing about this?
Okay. So see, first we have to understand, Web3. How did we land here at Web3, and what is Web3? So Web one was basically the initial, the websites, the blogs, and all those, where it was only read only. So you could only read. So if I created a blog, you can only read. Like Fatah can only read, or Fatah creates a blog, I can only read. Even certain some of the news information websites, news websites, you could only one-way communication. So from there we landed on Web two, which is the Facebook, Instagrams, and the LinkedIn's. What we know. It was read and write. So if I create a post, Fatah can interact with it. Fatah creates a post, I can, and the world. It's open to the world, and then you have all these policies that you want only some people to read it, or restriction, or it's open for everybody on the platform, stuff like that. So that's Web two. Web three says read, write, and earn as well. So how does earn work? So what happens is, all of us who are content creators in any small way, there are some big content creators who made it a profession, and there's some who just do it information based. So all of people who create really content and drive traffic towards a platform. So who earns the money as of now is the platform. Like, so they all these most of these platforms through advertising, so advertising or the services that they offer. So they're doing tons and tons of earning. What Web3 offers is an ability for people to earn for what they create. So that's the very big shift. So it's also kind of called the creator economy or creator torch bearer and stuff like that. So I'll give you an example. So there's a company, so there's a company called Excalibur, which is building a blockchain based podcast platform. So what they're doing is, so it's built on Solana. That's another blockchain. So you host your podcast there. The audio is only right now, and then what happens is that the creators earn some tokens. uh, and then the people who are, I mean, it's a native platform, right? It's a new platform right now. It's still building up its audience, and the people who are there as guests, so they pay a certain small amount of money, very small, maybe tokens and different formats, and pay the creator to listen to his podcast. And eventually, like people like to pay for the services that they like. So what will happen is, over a period of time, only the I mean, that's what their idea is. Only the podcasters who are liked by a multitude of people will be the top guys, and not the ones who are driven by advertisement. So if I have a lot tons of money and I can like advertise or market my product, so I will that's it is not that's not their business model. So that's what they're trying to challenge. And you can check out their website. This is just one example. There are tons of it like that.
I think that's a very exciting phase coming in for creators, right? So
Yeah,
I don't think so many creators, like content creators who are doing a lot of stuff, also understand the technology part. But I
yeah,
think this is something very interesting coming in technology, which is going to change the game for many of the creators.
quite a lot, quite a lot.
Right now, when we are talking about Web3, one thing that I keep hearing about in Web3 is decentralization,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when we talk about Web2, there was more of centralization that we used to hear. So, what
Yeah.
is decentralization all about? Like, is there any specific architecture that is being used? How is it different? And what are the advantages or benefits of this?
See, one advantage of decent. So, for example, like the platform that we host all our documents on, right? Or the platform that we use our social media on. So, suppose if it goes off, right? It is okay. So, for some odd reason, they want to take a call there and say that, okay, you're not worthy enough for the platform, or you kind of, played with the policies, right? Our policy doesn't allow the kind of content that you're doing now, and you're off the platform. So, all your effort of putting in a lot of followers, people that you connect with, rather, a lot of content, the effort you built on it, the kind of brand that you built for yourself on a platform goes for a toss in a very, very, like in a single moment. Or if it's the official documentation, for some odd reason, you get linked, or the core server goes down, which can happen sometimes, right? So you're logged out. Like there are outages on different platforms that we focus on, that we face. So what decentralization offers is, primarily, there's no one owner of the platform, right? So it's kind of distributed, and even the hosting of the platform or the app, so to say, is done on multiple computers spread over a network, so which are kind of called nodes. So what happens is, if one goes down, the other one takes over. So there's no a very, like minimum, very, very kind of zero outages till the time you really want to do that. So that's one of the advantages of decentralization. And the other is that no one person owns. That's like it's a very, very basic definition, but no one person or a company, like people in company, own that product. So that's what, in a way, decentralization offers. I mean, there's tons of it, but like in a nutshell, that's what I would say.
I think this is good to know. And one thing when we were talking about this came to my mind is one of the big challenges that we are facing today when it comes to Web2, like Facebook or any other platforms, right? Is the security part, where anybody can actually create your own account. And then that, as you said, one platform, we are stuck there, right? So, how
Yeah.
Web3 is going to change the game in this particular space on security wise?
See, security wise, like it's still building. See, one is it's immutable. So I would say, more than security, I mean, it's part of the security as well, but it's also it's not hackable. As a core structure of blockchain, it's not hackable. So what happens is, in blockchain. So if you know a little bit about Bitcoin or any other thing, so they're different. There's something called as a validators, right? And then there's also something called as, people, so when before the actual transaction, I don't want to try and get too technical, but if before the transaction gets posted on the main chain, right? So there's a set of processes which happen, which says that this is actually validated. So consider it like this. So what is blockchain? Blockchain is primarily a ledger, like we see our Excel sheet, or any a Google sheet, right? So it's a one by one after the other sequencing of all the transactions that are happening on a blockchain, as simple as that. So you say, say Fatah, say what happens in a bank, or what happens, so we are interacting right now. What happens is, that Fatah mentions. Fatah's logged into particular platform. He messaged this, and then he connected with this person. So all these become messages on a blockchain. So, but before they actually, and what happens is that ledger is kind of distributed. That Excel sheet is distributed on multiple, say, all the people who are parts of that blockchain, right? All the machines who say that, okay, as a storehouse. So what happens is, so that information that you did these three steps is available with, say, thousands on thousands of computers, right? So what happens is that so what happens is that if any new transaction comes in, and suppose I have a malicious intent, I want to say, no, 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 Fatah did not do it, Alek did it, right? What happens is, before that gets into the accepted on the main, like the chain across all nodes, it'll go through some processes for validation, right? And then those validation processes, so there's a rule of 51%. What that says is, like, you need to have 51% of the systems in a way to actually hack the whole system. And there's the tons and tons and tons of systems, who are connected as nodes, when where it is not very easy to hack. You get what, the amount of computing power you would need, and the transactions happen so fast that it becomes difficult. So imagine a financial situation, right? That the ledger of a account is there on, say, thousands of computers as an Excel sheet. It's cryptography, and it's logged, so nobody individually can go ahead and view it, right? So what happens is, I want to say that, Alekh owns, say, Fatah owns $1 million, for example. It's written there. It's a fact, and I want to change that name, like that detail to Alekh. But for it to be accepted by the whole, like as a consensus, there's something called as a consensus mechanism, as a consensus by everybody. So there is certain steps that will happen. Like there's a blockchain has a parts to it. So there's a hash, and there is like the number of zeros written, just to make sure that the transaction is valid and stuff like that. So if you want to get into detail how that blockchain is configured, please go ahead and you can just do a simple Google it, right? So what happens is, so also there's a information in every block about the previous block and the next block, like what it's doing. So all that get kind of checked, and for me to change that, it's going to take a huge amount of computing power. I mean, imagine, like it's on thousand of computers, and I need to change that information on thousands of computers at the same time for everybody to accept that it's a fact. I think that was, you see what I'm saying? So that's why it becomes, like kind of a hack proof. And yeah, so that's where the security comes into the picture. Plus, it's immutable. Once it's on the blockchain, you can't really change it. You can't really modify the information. And once it's there, it's there. That's why NFTs have a lot of big use cases, around paperwork and bringing on blockchain, so that you can't really say it. So, for example, you and I get degrees from our college, right? And if somebody gives them to you as an NFT. So what happens is, it's written that Father did engineering from this college with this much percentage. So neither you nor I can modify that. And when and you want to take like higher education or for job, or if you have to give them as proofs, like you have to give them your information as proof. So you can just point them towards that NFT, and then it's there. You don't have to worry about having the paper trail, remembering the paper, where did you do it, because sometimes people lose it when you're shifting, or some incidents. I mean, there can be issues. So all that is immutable, and nobody else can pose as Fatah Khan, because your roll number, your face, it's all there on the blockchain, right? So I mean, that's where it plays. I think, again, I took a little longer trying to
No, no,
explain.
but it's interesting to understand this particular thing, and thanks for clarifying that, because the kind of security I think we are looking at, so because of decentralization plus because of distribution, right?
Yeah,
It is going to be strong security which cannot be like really hacked there, right?
yeah.
So that is interesting to know about this. And we talk about cryptocurrency. How is it connected with Web3? Like, what is the role here that Web3 plays, and how these are connected?
See, cryptocurrencies are a way of transacting on a blockchain. So they're not the core of it. See, Web3 in itself contains a lot of things. So that's blockchain kind of forms the basis of Web3, which is more on how, or the core technology around it, and on top of it, everything else is kind of built. So it contains the metaverses, NFTs, DAOs, that's decentralized autonomous organizations. So that's a different structure of how you run an organization. Then you have tokenomics. Then you have smart contracts. Then there is edge computing. Edge computing is not necessarily Web3, but it's kind of playing a good part there. So edge computing and few other things. So uh, so that's where tokens or cryptocurrencies come into the picture. So cryptocurrencies are a way of transacting. It's a simple currency. So what happens is that anybody can create a cryptocurrency, like on any native blockchain, and that's where a lot of scams happened and people started investing in, and started doing a lot of. So there's certain terms like with NFTs, all cryptocurrencies is wash trading, rug pulls. So you create a project, create a hype around it, get some funding, get some money, get the community to pay you, like invest in it, and then just out, you just off. So a lot of scams happen, and that's why it says that people should do a lot of DYOR, that's do your own research before investing. Don't go before somebody else saying it. Whoever is saying it, whoever is telling you to do it, irrespective it's your neighbor, friend, or a big influencer. Please do your own research. See the credibility of it. Mistakes will still happen, issues will still happen, but it's something that's very important. So yeah, so coming back to your question, what are cryptocurrencies? Cryptocurrencies, kind of built on top of blockchain for doing the transactions. It's a very, very simple way in a nutshell.
Right. And you also mentioned about a few terminologies. There are many terminologies here, but you mentioned about smart contracting. You mentioned about edge computing. Like, what are these things?
See, edge computing is more of a technology which is like kind of distributing the power from. See, what happens is right now, uh, so you do a transaction, you do some like interaction with any product. So it goes to the back end, probably to the cloud server, which is somewhere in India if you keep it in Mumbai or say SF or any other country, depending upon the app you are interacting with. So there, the processing happens there, and then the information is relayed down to you. Right. So what they try to do is they're to make sure that, but my phone, if I'm doing it on a phone or a laptop, that's the edge device, right? The last information. So what the technology is trying to do is try and get the processing power and the fast information closer to the edge, right there, so that it's faster, it's better, and less I would say resource intensive. So what people do is, so instead of cloud, I think there's another term I'm forgetting right now, which is kind of a intermediary processing units. So what happens is, so the information instead of going to the core cloud, there's some information being processed at somewhere in the midway. So it could be not in the Mumbai or say Bangalore or London or US core hub, but somewhere closer to Delhi, where I am, and that's where and then that's how they try to do. So that's at a nutshell what edge computing is. And the other thing, smart contracts plays a big role. So what happens is smart contracts came into the picture once Ethereum was launched in 2000, I think 14 or 15. So that's when smart contracts came into the picture. What is smart contract? Is a simple line of code. Like it can be very complex as well. A code which gets executed without the any person's say, how do I say it? Like without any manual interaction, right? So what happens is once you putting your smart contract on any blockchain, for example, you want to say that once I get say payment, like I'll talk in business terms from my customer, I want to pay out all these people automatically, right? So you get say $100 from your customer. The moment it hits your bank, you want that distributed automatically to say your vendors, like could be the software team or whatever. So what happens is right now somebody comes you go again to the like uh, the bank platform, you log in and then you go ahead and do that payment. But what happens is when it's there automatically and you have processed, put that into the smart contract, just go ahead and give it automatically, so you don't have to worry. So if your customer is based out of India, and the transaction happens in the middle of the night, you are sleeping. So but the moment that happens, the payment happens to your account, the smart contracts reads it, and it automatically executes the payment and goes through, so you don't have to worry about it. So this transaction, so there's a lot which happens in NFTs, per se, but now there are different apps also that we're building on which utilize this smart contract.
Yeah, there is so much of technology changes that is happening, and it is really exciting to see so many things happening, and competition is also growing there. Now,
Yeah.
when we talk about the content creation, you spoke about Web3 as well. There is something that we have been hearing where a lot of content creators today are also talking about AI, right? How AI is actually shaping the future of content. People are able to write content through AI. So when it comes to Web3, right? How is AI and ML placed here, and what role does that play in this particular platform?
I'm not an expert. I would outright say that on AI, neither on AI nor on ML. But from the understanding, the education that I keep studying. It's very interesting. So from an AI point of view, so there's a very big talk very recently in December about Chat GPT. It's a platform by
Right,
OpenAI. And then it'll replace everybody. See, for now, for people, see, it's a AI platform is something. It's the way in a simpler terms, it's a big database. It's a big,
right,
huge database with a enormous amount of and processing power, and the query system is much faster. So what happens is you put in a query, and then it gives you an output, right? So that's what it's that's why it says artificial intelligence. So what happens is that whatever is fed into the system is what it can only give you out. So as of now, Chat GPT openly says that its knowledge right now is limited to 2021. So anything which happened in 2022, it has no correlation and no information on. Right. Obviously, it's evolving because it's right now a test, and what they're doing in pilot. But what the possibility that it does have is replacing our search engines, or because it gives you a very very streamlined way of answer. So in the current context, the way I see it is, when you do a search, the search gives you further sub options where you will have to do your research and stuff. What that does is, like ChatGPT as an example, is it gives you structured answers. So that's where it is, right? I personally think that it'll not be able to take away the content creators and like that information, because there is a certain amount of emotion and intellect attached to it, right? And the kind of but what it will do is it will force you to ask smarter questions, and it will help a lot of content and anybody for that matter driving their content or their information game to the next level. So so you get a certain amount of answer from there. You use your intellect, modify it, refine it, or maybe it'll question you as well. Use that and then go to the next level. So see, it's again, uh, every technological age or any advancement has been there to kind of help people, not really take their jobs or like information away. It'll impact for sure for some people, yes, but what happens is it helps you level up. And if you are not leveling up and you want to like have the same knowledge what you had say 20 or 30 or 40 years ago, and you're not updating yourself, that's where the challenge is. I think so that's where I feel AI will do. And I think similar is with machine learning, but that's a topic that I'm not very very well versed with, so I'll not rather talk about it. AI is what I understand, and I can easily talk.
No, I think that is I think that's the truth there, that whatever you spoke about, like things are changing, but again, it is how you see at it, right? How you look at it.
Yeah.
It is the survival of the fittest, especially in technology, since it's fast changing there. Yeah.
Yeah, I will not say survival of the fittest, yes, to some extent, but what it is, you have to adapt to change. So people who will be able to adapt to technology, accept its presence. See, because so what happens is, yesterday somebody posted some comment that once the internet was launched, then data storage was launched, like way back in 50s and 60s, and when the cars were launched, everybody said, no, it's a fad, horses are not going away. Then technology came in, no, that it's a fad, it'll not go away. But nothing went away. Anything which was helping progress the human, like uh, race, or anybody for that matter, next level, or go one step ahead, it will not go away. As simple as that. Just being becoming an ostrich and keeping your, uh, the head in the ground and thinking, because you can't see it, nobody can see it. It's not happening. It's happening. How you adapt to it, I think what people should do is, become curious about it. What is it? How can it impact me? And what can I do to bypass that? Right. See, I switched from a job to an and like an enterprise at a very very critical point, like in the beer market, and started doing my own thing. Like we are like what, not even a year old right now as an organization, right? But you have to take that chance on yourself. Trust, like don't be stupid, and jump just like that. Get some finances in place, get some interaction in place, understand why you want to get into it. And everybody doesn't have to start their own companies. You can join different other companies. There are a lot of big companies who are into the same tech. So understand that. But point is, you'll have to put in the effort to understand what this tech is all about, and how you can, considering your strengths and weaknesses, how you can help about it. Like for me, it was very easy to go because uh, the AR/VR side, and on that side, and I've been into tech from a long time. So it was easy for me to understand it, and take that jump. I mean, there was a huge amount of effort, like a lot of 12 to 13 hours days when I have to study it and, understand it. And, like, because you have to understand, right? Like, because I have to,
Right.
I'm not just selling as a virtual solution, I have to understand the whole tokenomics of it. How does tokenomics work? How does the back end technology work? How can NFTs work? What are wallets? So all those things. And there's a huge potential, like I try and spend at least 30 minutes to 1 hour every day on learning a new thing about it still, right? And it's going to go on forever, right?
Yeah. I think that is how it is. The technology or the learning is forever. Right now, before, like, I think people look at it, as you said, it's very important to be curious. It's very important to be aware. That's
Yeah,
where I think these podcasts or these platforms also help people. Like you are doing something, future of web, right? People who
yeah,
are looking at advancing in technology, like listening to you, listening to the influencers you are bringing there from the industry experts. I think that is the first step where they
yeah,
can increase their awareness and then get started with it, right?
yeah.
And you also talk about growth mindset a lot, right? So do you think growth mindset is something that can help these people, and what is growth mindset that you talk about?
See, there are few, I mean, thank you, like for bringing that up. It's a very good question, because at the end, like blockchain, forms the basis of Web3 and any technology built on it. Mindset plays that basis or the role of how you see things, and how you build your life. So if you don't have the right mindset, what is the right mindset? See, there are different ways of how you think about it, right? So for me, growth mindset is one, which is open to learning, irrespective of what you already know, what you've already done, what you've already accomplished. It's important that you have to have that hunger to curiosity to know a lot more. Because see, don't see it, from your perspective. See it from your perspective of, like if you're a parent, you have kids, right? They are coming up in a generation, in a world right now which is fast advancing fast, right? And you would not want your knowledge, at least that's for me, like that my knowledge should always be there, where I can tell my kids, a new experiences, what's happening new in the world, how they, how they can, how do I say it, how they can, like shape their careers around it, or there are different options available, right? But till the time I'm aware as a parent about all this, forget about, me being directly involved, but being aware is the step one. So yeah, for that you have to be open. You have to think that, okay, there's something outside of the knowledge that I have, right?
Right.
Because see, there's a very very tiny fraction of knowledge that we have, and there's a tons of information around it. Take as an example, take, I can speak 2 3 languages, right, and understand a few, right? So, but there are, say, hundreds and thousands of languages which I don't know. From an example point of view, so there is so much that we don't really know. So thinking that, that what I have is, okay, this is the be all and end all, I know everything. I think that's what, as a nutshell, you need to have that. So that's where the growth mindset comes into the picture. Second is, we should always be positive. Negative things will happen. There will be challenges in life. It could be health related, financial related, family related, or anything else, career related. Challenges will be there. At at those down times, how you're able to react, how you're able to think positively without impacting your relationship, your health, because these are the very important things, which will take you further. So these are the two critical, like at the low point, what is your mindset? How you are reacting to things? Are you blaming others, or are you taking 100% responsibility? Like for me, I take 100% responsibility. Like absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, like why? Because this is what you are, and if you give the power to somebody else, that means you're giving the powers to somebody else to control you. Like be it be it influencers, be it your family, your parents, kids. No, you have to take the 100% responsibility. So these are like the few aspects that I think growth mindset. There's a lot that I can talk about it, but I think now, for now, I'll just take this these top 2 3 aspects, how I consider what a growth mindset is.
Right. And one of the biggest challenge with corporate professionals, especially in the mid careers, right? They go through stagnancy. They go through like mid career crisis. So you have been in the career corporate world for quite a long time, and I think you took a lot of risk during your career, and also right now what you're doing is like you've taken a risk, right? Where you started your own journey of entrepreneurship. So
Yeah.
how do you look at it? Like when people are stuck, right? What are the like basic things that they can start doing before they take any bigger risk, right? Or how important it is for them to take the risk so that they can keep growing rather than go through that mid-career crisis.
Okay. So see, step one is, the way I see it is, it's important to know what you are and who you are. So ikigai is a very big good example out of that. So who you are and what you are, once you're very clear and what you want out of your life, forget like the responsibilities that you have. Obviously they are important, and one of the my visions and goals is comes out of that responsibility that I have as a parent, as a as a family person. But before that, who are you, what you really want to do in life is the core. Why you want to be successful is also very, very big important point. What happens is, like everybody in the corporate world, I've been to corporate for a long time, is that everybody wants to be successful, but why is the reason, like the reason could be like you want a big house, bigger car, bigger this, bigger that. But why do you want that? Do you want that because somebody else has it, or you want it because you want to experience that luxury? You want to experience, see there's a very fine difference. So once
Right.
you become clearer on what you want, and that has to come down to how you feel about it as a person. Not because like it should not be forced from external factors, like because the neighbor or my friend has this, like he's going on a holiday or whatever, and that's why I want to do that. That should not be the core motivation, because what will happen is then the external environment is driving your life, right? There's nothing wrong, like I want tons of things, but that is what I feel it from within. Tomorrow I may not feel, but it's not something which is externally driven. So that's what I think, for corporate professions to do. See, because what happens is, when you're doing in that, it's a hierarchical structure in corporate, right? So you start at the grassroots level, as an intern or as a trainee, right? And then you go to the manager, because what happens is, so for 1,000 trainees there will be, say, 50 managers, for example, just giving a random
Right.
example. For 50 managers there will be, say, 20 senior managers, and then you get AVP. So what happens is, over a period of time, the number of positions become less and less and less, right?
Right.
But there could be a lot of capable contenders to it. So how do you deal with that understanding, and how do you really stand out, is what makes the difference. And the best way to do is be you, be the best version of you. I think Father talks a lot about that, like, so you got to listen to him, and he does a lot of coaching from that regard as well. Like, it's called Dream Career Talk Show. So you got to understand what is it that you can offer as an individual, which are core to you, and which makes you happy. And that's where you scale up. And even if it doesn't scale up, doesn't matter, man. You got to do your effort, right? And then you can switch your companies. There are tons of options available to people who are willing to put in the effort. So yeah, and you have to be clear. I mean, I think step one should be clear. Get clear of clarity, and if you don't have it, keep rewinding it. Discuss with your friends, family, your spouse, if you're married, even if your kids, like if, depending upon what stage you are, talk to your kids. Kids have amazing amount of clarity. My daughter is like, she gives amazing amount of clarity sometimes.
Yeah. I think that's nice, and I think that is the key. Whatever you said, like being open, right? If
Yeah.
you have to even listen to your daughter and learn from there, like first thing is being
Yeah.
open and have that clarity why you want certain things in your life. And as you rightly mentioned, don't have to compare or get what others have. You just have to be you, right? And
Yeah.
get what you want. When you're clear about that, I think life also becomes beautiful. When you're enjoying things, what do you do as well?
Yeah, because so then you're not driven by the shiny object syndrome. You're not driven by FOMO, and because see, these are factors which will always keep changing. So today, like you want the nice shiny car, and tomorrow it's going to be another shiny car. So for how
Right.
long can you keep running? Like see it from that perspective, right? You cannot keep running one after the other without getting to your core principles. So once you get drilled down to your core, what you want, and once you're very clear on that, I think there's no turning back from there.
Right, absolutely. And here, when we are talking about Web3, metaverse is also something that people are looking at it. And I think one angle people look at metaverse is like the gaming platform, right? So is metaverse just the gaming platform, or there is more to it? Like, how do people understand metaverse if you have to put it in basic terms?
See, metaverse is multiple things. See, right now there is no, a clear definition of what a metaverse can do. Okay, so as simple as that. What is metaverse? So metaverse has everybody has created kind of their own, how do I say it, a definition of what a metaverse is. But what happens is, it's like the early adopters, people who got in a little early, have kind of understood, what it can basically do. So for gaming platforms, it was very easy to transition themselves from a branding perspective from a gaming platform to a metaverse, right? So metaverse is like multiple verses. Like meta is something called as you can say multiple, and then when did this metaverse word really come into the picture is when Facebook renamed themselves as Meta. So everybody, started talking about metaverse, metaverse. It became a very, 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 like a in thing to call themselves metaverse. So I recently heard somebody calling themselves metaverse practitioner. I said, what the, like I don't want to use the expletive, but what is that, right? What is metaverse practitioner? How do you practice metaverse? Like, it's like a dish. I practice Italian. I practice pasta. I don't know, man. Like maybe maybe that's something it is true, there has some weight to it. I don't really outright reject things, so maybe there's something, but I did try and find a little information, I could not find. So coming to back to your question, what is metaverse? Metaverse is it's an experience. The way I describe it is an experience and multitude of experience, right? There are certain levels of and the way it is available, are we there at the core what metaverse can do, the possibility? No, for me, no. What it is right now is just 3D worlds wrapped in a 2D web around it. So when you use your HMDs, the head mounted devices, so that's when you have the full immersive experience of a metaverse. You're going to a place. When see what happens is, it needs to be able to um, touch your different senses at the same time, right? How you see, how you feel, how you smell, and so that has to happen, and that can only happen right now with the HMDs, the head mounted devices. So you have those devices. I had one, I just kept it down too. So you have to wear those, experience the metaverse the way it is, and yeah, so that's where it is, and it has huge potential. Like the few use cases that we are discussing right now. As an organization with different companies, in the health tech, in the e-commerce sector, and then there's a lot of things happening even in the Indian, like with launch of ONDC and stuff like that. So there's a lot of potential happening. So it's like you going to buying a burger on any shop. You go to a metaverse, to their metaverse, and go and buy a burger, right? So sitting in front of in your home, you have that experience of traveling. But what is the advantage here? The advantage is that you saving your time. Like you're not actually physically traveling. I mean, you can obviously go, and you should do that. It is.
Mhm.
I said it's not going to replace the real life experiences. So it
Right.
says IRL, in real life. That's the term that we use in Web3. So it's not going to replace the IRL experiences. It is going to have an enhancement to it. So you don't feel like going here. It's too far, too much traffic, too rainy outside, or maybe not rainy. Like you just want to go out. So what you do is you go to the metaverse, go there. Imagine like you standing in the line, and there is somebody ahead of you, and then you go to the order. There's somebody from their end, as a representative who wants to take orders from you, and then you say, no, I want this. Order done. You ordered, and then obviously through delivery partners, it is delivered to your house. So you saving, say, fuel cost, environment friendly, you saving time for yourself, and you're getting a new experience. So that's how metaverse will, impact. This is just a very, very small one use case that I've explained. There are tons of it.
Right. I think that that's, as you rightly mentioned, it's an experience, and
Yeah.
especially the kind of use cases we see in retail or even in pharma today or in the healthcare segment for metaverse. Like, it's amazing
Yeah.
the way they are building things, right? And the way technology has been advancing the experience that we are building here. So now you
Yep.
were
Absolutely.
into corporate for quite a long time, and then you transitioned from there into like technology, building your own solutions right now in terms of like becoming an entrepreneur. So what does Anemoi Solution like actually do? What kind of services are you building, right? How are you working on those things?
Okay. So we are a, like, Web3 based organization is what we say. So what we're doing is we are doing multitudes of things for companies in Web3 or organizations who want to move to Web3. So like we said, like the first step is education. So what we do is we do some sessions for students, colleges, even organizations who want to get to know what Web3 is, what all it can entail. Because till the time you understand and equip, see what happens is because we've done all that effort, for studying for a year, so it becomes easier and we can, combine all that information and present it to you, say, in hours. I mean, that's the effort that we're trying to save for a lot of organizations. So we can become their first touch point to go ahead and, understand what Web3 is, how they can, actually interact with it. And then, so then there's a lot of curious people in different organizations. They come out with tons of questions, and then, we answer them. And that's how we bring that journey, take that journey forward. Step one, people who are already aware of it, we create metaverses. It can be, be also called digital twins for some people. So, so like if you want to enhance your in brand or in store experience to a metaverse, so that's what, kind of a digital twin is. So we can do that. uh, and then for education, again, in metaverse, I was recently discussing creating a metaverse platform for an ed tech company based out of Delhi. So they're a tech platform, and, so they want to create their content in metaverse, so that which they want to automate over a period of time to increase the understanding and, the experience of kids instead of, plain PPTs. So that's what we are discussing. Then the NFT marketplaces. So NFTs. So what we do is we create NFT marketplaces on smart contract. So a couple of smart contracts, I think 721 and 1155. I mean, these are smart contracts released by on Ethereum. So we create NFT marketplaces, and then we can create AR VR apps. So people want to, so we do a lot of web AR work. We pied with a tech partner on that regard. So you want to create a campaign for your marketing, for your like information sharing. So we create those in AR and VR, and it's easy, very easy to, like share with other people. Just send them a QR code, they scan it, and they get all that information on their mobile device, like through their mobile devices in augmented reality, so in front of you. So that's what we do. We also create memes, so as a creative platform, so we also create memes. So right recently, we just finishing a few landing page work for a company, like, which is a Web3, totally Web3 blockchain based company. So they have a good product, so they reached out to us to create their landing page. It was easier for us to do, because, I mean, why did they choose us is because we understand blockchain. So it was easier to have that transaction. Anybody can create those landing pages, but now we can, easily do that. Now we're talking about redefining the design of their whole, product, UI, UX, and stuff like that. So there's a multitude of things, we can do in that regard. But yeah, that's just a few things that we love to do.
That's great to know, and I think you coming with vast experience in creativity, in different things in technology and all, definitely will be a great value add for those organizations and also the colleges, the students you are supporting there, right? So
Yeah.
any organizations looking for it can definitely reach out to you, and the channels would be like through social media. Like, how can they reach out to you? Like, if they have to reach out to you for any solutions,
I
inquiries.
think LinkedIn will be the best platform for now. You can go to our website. You can just, like, there's an option to schedule a demo directly or a meeting directly from the website. Go to our website, anemoi solution.com. So that's anemoisolution.com. Go there, check out some stuff. We keep updating that, with all the information that we have. We're just revamping few more pages right now. We are also trying to get to a way where people can have a metaverse platform hosted on their website itself through iframe integration. Very simple. uh, so we're getting there, and yeah, so there's tons of stuff that I'll be happy to talk about.
That's nice. And when we are talking about various careers, right? Because on the dream career also we talk about the dream careers people can build. Now, if somebody wants to build a career in this particular field, right? So creativity, like people who are into the creative domain, what kind of opportunities do they have in this particular technology field today?
See, for creative domain, there are multiple things. One is, you can be a UI UX person, understand how. So the only UI UX is pretty simple, right? From an understanding point of view, user interface, user experience. But from a blockchain point of view, you have to understand how the tech works, because what is wallet, what is it, wallet integration, how do you work on the blockchain, what sort of experience you want to create. So once you have a good understanding of what blockchain is, UI for UI UX guys or people, it will be very easy. People who've been building virtual reality stuff, like creating those virtual assets, virtual sets, so to say. Like I was from broadcast, I worked virtual sets, say, for about 15, 17, 16 years now, right? So it was easier. So people who can understand how to create virtual sets, it becomes easier for them to go to uh, transition the understanding, at least point of view, from to metaverse is whole big lord game. Till the time you understand blockchain and technology and the other things around it, uh, you know uh, you, you can become a metaverse artist as well. So there's a certain amount of effort that you need to put in, but it's not a lot of effort, right? And
Mhm.
if you're a developer, so you need to listen, kind of understand. If you are a MERN stack person, right? uh, from a education point of view, so what you need to understand is solidity and rust. So EVM, ethereum works on solidity, and I think solana or something else, or probably cardano, works on rust. So once you understand these two, they form the back end of this whole stack. So that's three. There are there are things outside of this technology and design as well. So one, you can become a great community manager. So community, so web3 is all about communities. Like I am personally part of communities which have 5,000, 10,000 people, like only on telegram. So
Wow.
5,500, 5,600, 6,000. And it's not only the number of people, it is the active participation, right? So that's where we start with. So you can become a like a big community manager, understand what that is. Like for me, I started learning about web3, like where I did a deep dive, apart from the understanding on a simple internet, was through a community based platform, or a cohort by growth school, right?
Mhm.
So community is big, so you can become community manager. So there's a devrel also, that's developer relations. So you can do a search on that, how you can really help become a devrel role. That's a big role that is there in web3. Yeah, and then standard marketing, sales and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think there are opportunities for everybody here, right? Especially
Oh
with a
yes.
lot of
Yeah.
things opening up there. And this is the
Yeah.
future, anyways, as you rightly say, the future of web. I think this is also the future of great opportunities for people who want to build their dream career, right? And make some good money out there as well, because technology, of course, is in huge demand, especially the Web3, the kind of communities you're talking about, the content creation. Now, when it comes to content creators, right, they are not like the organizations. Many people are individuals, like running these kind of businesses. Like even if you talk about me, right? So how do we transition, and then how do we start taking advantage of this particular thing, Web3 and
Well, I
metaverses?
would say the step one you've already taken, by bringing somebody from Web3 industry, like in this case it was me, but you've already
Hmm.
taken that understanding. See, everything starts from understanding, like that's
Right.
my mantra. For people can have different views around it, but for me, the step one is the understanding of what that tech is, what that technology is, what that design is, what that is. So once you understand it, then you have to figure out, like uh, keep putting out content. I mean, there's no denying that, right? Without you putting out content, so then what happens is people, and LinkedIn is the fantastic platform to do that. Once you
Right.
keep putting out content on LinkedIn, especially because it's a B2B and a professional platform, people take a notice of you. When people take a notice of you, they will automatically reach out to you. That's step one. Like, so for people like yourself, like once you have a good understanding of what Web3 is, you can go ahead, and approach college and start doing the sessions. Like I do a lot of sessions for free also, because
Mhm.
for me, I'm very passionate about increasing the adoption, and that was one of the reasons rather, where I when I started the future of web, my own show and podcast. So it is about increasing adoption, and the more you talk to people, such people, there's always a new thing that you can learn from, and there's always a new thing that you can talk about. So step one is learning, step two is sharing, step three the money will start flowing in.
Right.
If you're
Yeah.
saying that you want to make like money from step one, I people can see through, like and it can happen. Like for us as an organization, it's a big risk doing it right now in the beer time, whatever, but you have to take the risks to get to get level. And yeah, and this was something I'm very passionate about in terms of design, technology, the future. That's why we took that risk, and yeah, hopefully it pays off.
Definitely, definitely. You have been doing some amazing job there. And as you rightly said, it's all about the intent, and you're not looking for the money part, but you serving. And then that's where universe will also start serving you with giving more and
Yeah.
more.
So see, don't get me wrong. Like as a wider point, it's not that money is not important. It's very important. Our world works on
Right.
money. But I'm saying the payoff. When the payoff, what sort of payoff you want, and what amount of money generation, like you want to give. That has to, you have to be clear at what point you want that money to start flowing in.
Right. Yeah. And I think for people like us, the content creators, the influencers, like understanding, getting aware of this technology, and then maybe like outsourcing or looking at, hey, who can build this solution for me? How do I start adopting this solution so that the game can change, right? It's all
Yeah.
about coaching as a business. How can the business go to the next level? How can it be adapted? I think it's a great opportunity for everyone there. I can clearly see it's a win-win solution, right?
Yeah.
For everyone, the users, the creators, right? And also the business owners, like somebody who wants to get into this to build their careers. So there is a huge opportunity out there. So thank you for sharing so much of knowledge and experience that has come through you, and then condensing it in such a short form, because I think this episode has been very useful, especially to me as well, right? And of course to people who have watched us live and people who are going to watch later on recording. This is definitely going to be a game changer for them if they are able to become aware and take it from here to the next steps in terms of building their dream careers in this, right? So before we conclude on this particular, do you have any last concluding message to the audience?
Yeah, so there are two things that I would like to thank you Fatah, for giving me that chance to be able to share that. So I have two things to share. One is the future, like how it looks like. So McKinsey very recently came out with a report, which is called their 550 report. It's available on internet, and you just do a quick research. So there's a couple of facts and figures there, which I want to share. So in 2022, Metaverse, saw an investment of about $120 billion. 120 billion. What it says is it has the potential to reach $5 trillion in value by 2030, right? So that's huge amount of like purely from the money point of view to be made. But what will get you there and get you a piece of the pie is why. Don't do it because it's a new thing. Please get it aligned with your why, and then do it. So there's tons and tons of money to be made. Yes, it'll go to the big guys, but everybody has their own share, and you never know like who becomes big. So that's
Right.
just the opportunity side of it. Second point is, if you really want to know about it, learn about it, get involved, reach out to people. People are very, very open about it. Be mindful of their time. Reach out to me, if you think that I can add some value to you on LinkedIn, Twitter, right? And then we can work something out, and we can do a session of, see, step one is knowledge. Till that time you understand that, and you have to go to a deep dive. There's a like there's a statement which is kind of common in web3 circles, is in the rabbit hole. You have to go down that hole of learning, of knowledge seeking, and then you do it. And once you've done that, you align with your why, it'll work out for sure.
Right. Very, very good message there. Start with why, and your why is very important.
Yeah.
Technology changes, everything changes, but you need to be like clear about your why. And people who want to advance their knowledge, who want to learn more about this, the reason I brought Alekh is because I know him as a person. We have been knowing each other for more than 3 years now. He's doing wonderful job out there with his own podcast called The Future of Web, right? So all those people in the IT world who are following me, I would definitely recommend start following. Alekh's podcast, which is the future of web. He's bringing some great influences there, some great experts there talking about the future of web. And he is also building a lot of solutions out there. So you can connect with him, learn from him, and also see how you can take the best advantage. So thank you, everyone. And thanks, Alekh, for being on this show and adding so much of value for this talk show today.
Oh, pleasure is all mine, Fatah. There's a tons, I know we can talk about it, but that's for some other day or offline talks.
Right, definitely. And so great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone, and have a
Thank you.
wonderful time.
Thank you, everybody.